Welcome to your shoulder flexion self-assessment. So this is purely a test to see how far you can reach overhead and if we have any compensations happening through the body. Now, obviously, reaching overhead is something that's super functional and we need through life. If we stop being able to reach overhead, that's where we might get some neck pinching. Maybe our shoulder blade isn't moving so well. So there's a lot to see and assess within the shoulder range of motion. And it's crucial to keep it healthy so we're not getting any crazy clicking, pinching. If you're feeling anything as you reach overhead or you're pressing in weight. So all of those different little issues that might be coming up are reasons why it's so crucial to test where your shoulder is. So first test we're going to do is actually laying on your back. Now, if it's hard for you to get onto the floor, you can always do this in bed. A little less accurate, I would say, because it's a little more squishy. So if you can get onto a harder surface, that's going to be more valuable in terms of what we're seeing. However, do what's best for your body. Okay. So we're going to test on the floor. And then the second one, we're going to test on a wall. And this is going to be our active test, seeing what our body moves like actively rather than with gravity assisted. So first test, I'm going to lie on the floor here. And I'm just going to place my legs out straight. Okay. So I want to just kind of wiggle out my body, relax my body. And now I'm going to see without trying to move my rib cage and my low back. I'm not trying to force anything down. I just want to see, can I with straight elbows, so trying not to bend at all, keep them straight, keep your thumbs up. You can also do this in front of a mirror. If you have access to it, you can set up your phone and kind of record yourself. So multiple ways to kind of test, but we're just going to see with keeping my arms straight, thumbs going back toward the ground. Can I get my thumbs to the floor? Now, if you do this and you realize, oh, my rib cage is actually kind of sticking up and popping up, or my low back starts to arch, I just want you to start to notice things. Or maybe to get back, you're noticing that you bend the elbows a little bit, or maybe you feel some neck pinching. So let's start to assess what we're feeling. Now, I want you to take these knees and we're actually going to draw them up toward the chest as much as possible. And if you need some assistance, you can always put your feet like on a chair or a couch and kind of pushing those knees in toward your chest. What we're doing here is rounding out the back. So this is actually going to lengthen this muscle that connects from the shoulder all the way down the back called your latissimus dorsi. And what we're wanting to do by lengthening it is not have us cheating at all. So now my knees are going to be drawn up to my chest and I'm going to see again, how far can I get my thumbs down? So now even for me, I have slight restriction. I can touch the ground, but it is making me work just a little bit more. So it's not quite as passive. So you might notice with keeping your arms straight, maybe you come to a point where you're like, whoa, I stopped moving. So this is a great test to kind of see, is your rib cage compensating and your low back kind of helping you? Or can you lengthen within it? So there's sometimes a distinct difference. So this is why it's good to kind of see where our compensations may be. And now we're going to stand it up. Okay. So now I want to do it against a wall. And again, I'm going against gravity now. So with my feet about probably like a foot away from the wall, I don't want to push my low back into the wall. So this is something that a lot of people think like I need to push my low back into the wall, but actually then I'm rounding and this is not functional, right? We don't usually reach overhead and say, okay, let me round in my back real quick. So we actually have a natural curve in the low back and that's okay. So rather than trying to push the low back into the wall, what I want to do is I stand here, say, can I get my head to the wall? My back, my upper back to the wall, my hips on the wall. And now let's see where my rib cage is. If I'm like this and my upper shoulders are touching the wall in order to get my neck back or my head back, then I know I'm probably compensating. I might have some restrictions either in my upper back or in my rib cage. Okay, so I want to try to drop that rib cage down as much as possible. Now, for some, that might mean that your head comes off or your shoulders round forward. Now we already know, we're already testing here essentially, because if my shoulders round forward and I try to lift, I'm obviously going to be off the wall because my head can't even get on the wall. But if I can keep my rib cage down, again, not pushing my low back, so watch where this is, my points of my rib cage here, I want to point straight down to the floor. Now, with keeping this down, I still have some space in my back. With keeping my chest on the wall and keeping my head back, can I, with straight arms, reach and get my hands to the wall? The other thing you want to be seeing is how far away are your hands going from each other? Are they really going wide? Do they bend to get overhead? So again, this is where taking a video comes in really handy. So if you can have someone in front of you taking a video, or you just set up your camera and take a quick video of both directions. So maybe from the side, what's my rib cage doing? From the front, what are my arms doing? Sometimes we're not even aware. We just kind of have these natural reactions in the body because that's what your body knows. So we're going to start to teach it a different way, but first we have to see what's happening. So if you can't quite get those thumbs to the wall with the rib cage down, that might mean we have a decreased rotation directly in the shoulder joint itself. This can cause some pinching. It could be the reason for forward posture a little bit in those shoulders. It could be the reason you get a lot of cracking and we're not having as good of stability around the shoulder. Another reason you might not be getting overhead is the shoulder blade isn't moving well. So we might not have awareness of what's happening in that shoulder blade along the rib cage to glide my arm up, a necessary action so that I'm not again pinching in my shoulder or causing any pain. The other thing, if my upper back is super stiff and I'm this way, I'm never going to be able to get overhead. My low back is going to have to compensate to get me overhead, which could end up in some low back pain. So you see where all these little pains can start to come together if I lack adequate shoulder range of motion and awareness of what's happening at that shoulder complex itself. So this is why it's so crucial to first know where I'm at and then be able to test it and work into it. So if you're ready to improve that shoulder range of motion, check out the links below because we do have curated plans for your shoulders specifically, and then so much others that are really going to help to improve that shoulder range of motion and honestly start to reduce a lot of those noises you might hear or the pains that you might be feeling directly in the shoulder or the neck or even the low back. So check the links below. Don't forget, if you love what you're learning, I have so much more in stock for you. So hit that subscribe button, check out the other videos I've done in the past, and leave any comments of any suggestions that you have for videos in the future. And I can't wait to help you feel incredible and amazing within your body.